I'd like to double down on an old theory of mine about Dave Chappelle, and I do still not believe that the new Dave Chappelle, the current one, is the old one. I absolutely do not. He does not make me laugh in the same way, not at all. The other Dave was flawless. He was a creative beast. He was a genius. He was a master. This new guy is not. He is here to be the habitual line stepper, the comedian that takes it over the edge since the rest of comedy they trashed. So here's one guy that we're going to bring back. I don't believe in the clone theory. I do believe that there are a lot of lookalikes, a lot of doppelgangers around the world. Every celebrity has many lookalikes. It would be so easy to find a Dave Chappelle one and tweak him a little bit, teach him, make him come back. That image is too powerful, too expensive for him to quit. I hope they made a deal and they kept the real Dave Chappelle alive. I really don't care. I hope he is alive, dear God. But if this is the real one, I really don't care. It's not really that big of a. I don't care. I have a lot more things to think about. But whenever he puts out a new special, I like to see what's behind it and think about what this new Dave Chappelle means. And I think this is it. If this is what being canceled is about, I love it. Says a guy with probably 50, 100 millions of dollars. Who knows? He is a multimillionaire. He does not care if he gets canceled. He doesn't care if he lives a life being canceled on social media for the rest of his life because he's incredibly rich. He's succeeded. His name is huge because of the foundation built by the real Chappelle. But this guy is here to take away everything. He wanted to be careful of what you say in regards to joining forces with this guy online because he's trying to elicit hate. He's trying to elicit a lot of bad comments from people. He's trying to elicit things that maybe in the future will be considered really bad for whoever agrees with him. Not only do I disagree with the stuff he said in his closer controversy, I think it was crap. I thought it was terrible comedy, barely any impressions, no like voices, no funny, no physical humor at all. His body doesn't make you laugh at all. That used to be a big part of it, his everything. And this is a big question, a huge question. Is there any reason why Dave Chappelle has never appeared as a guest since his comeback? They used to be comedy friends. Why didn't he ever go back on Conan? Why don't they ever mention this? Why is that unanswered? It will keep going unanswered. That's something you can't explain when there's mysteries like this surrounding a thing. And check out The Winged Beetle. I show a little clip of it in a second. It's a documentary about Paul McCartney and him dying and them tweaking it, finding another, because I'm sure there are a lot of lookalikes that can even play music. This guy didn't even have to play music. Look at this. His collection on Letterman, 2000, all these different things, all these different styles. He did a lot of comedy sessions before. He did always wear a suit. He always dressed nice, so they kept with a lot of things. And still, I get the vibe that it's not him. I really get the feel. I'm not convinced. It's something in my gut. I can't explain it. I don't really even want to include, this was the only clip I wanted to include, and it's just silent, but just to show that at the bottom, the jump, 2004 to 2010, which is fine because he's got his story, but the mannerisms, the everything, watch those interviews, they're totally different. He was a funnier man. He was a lot smaller of a man, a lot thinner, a lot different, like the shapes. This is what I said, The Winged Beetle. Check it out on archive.org even. It'll blow your mind. And it'll really make you believe, make you think that, who's to say the industry when in charge of a multi-million, or when a $1 million creation comes around, a pure genius of comedy, of art, of anything comes around, they want to, it makes a lot of money, makes a huge wave because his world, he took over the world back in 2004, 5, 6, whenever, during his peak, his seasons, and he was a revolutionary. He was unreal. He was uniting everyone. He was uniting everyone with comedy. Everyone was so happy. Everyone was perfectly getting along. It was a totally different world than the world they try to portray now. And when I go around, I still see all friends. I see all smiles. I've never had any problems. Knock on wood. I pray. Everyone I see is a friend everywhere. It's not this world. It's not this hate-filled world. And these people, again, he wants people to say a lot of things about the trans community, and people are free to do whatever they want. I don't necessarily agree with it being taught in schools at all. I don't agree with schools, really. Homeschooling, do your own teaching, teach everyone, but everybody has their own thing. Everybody has their own thought. this guy is trying to do something. He's definitely here putting out the closer for a purpose, and I wouldn't trust it. I don't like the guy's vibe. He talks about like beating people up all the time. He's like, every time he's out somewhere, it seemed like he was gonna like fight someone. I don't remember Dave Chappelle ever really thinking that. He was kind of a totally different type of person. You know, maybe he's paranoid and he had to bulk up, and there's something to that, but everything seems totally different. And there is also the fact when Norm Macdonald died recently, who had also just been hysterical his entire life to the end, every day. He even took a rise during COVID. Norm Macdonald had another bout of success, and it was so funny. And then he died, and nothing from Dave Chappelle. It didn't really seem like it. I didn't even want to go into that too much of looking for it, but take a look. You'll see he didn't really honor Normie. You think he would. Norm was an amazing man. And Norm, the same comedy his whole time. Pauly Shore, same comedy his whole time. Rodney Dangerfield, Mel Brooks. They got better and better and better. Even though they may not have had better opportunities, they still kept their ability, their skill, the things that they learned along the way. You can't teach a lookalike that. There's certain things, certain mannerisms. He used to be, like last time during some of his other specials, this new guy was smoking like crazy. Like, it's just, I don't know. Sorry, I don't feel it. And all these things, he comes up with these line stepper things, but it's like you could totally see that being the product. He's a product of a lot of different people trying to tweak the edge, trying to cause a little more division. He's not a Republican, he's not a liberal, but he's just on Netflix. Like, that's supposed to be they're going to allow it. This is all this controversy now. Like these people complaining, boycotting, like, oh my God, because of all these things he said. Meanwhile, the wars, the disgusting things that are going on in other countries, in every single country around the world now, things are atrocious. And people were talking about this, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Chappelle, the old Chappelle, would have been appalled by stuff like this, by having just this be like what his thing was about. And would he not have put out a movie? I remember hearing that Dave Chappelle wrote Half-Baked, and it was like amazing. And then they changed it to something that he didn't really like. And so it's like the guy had so much money, he had so much pull, he comes back, but he doesn't write anything, he doesn't produce a movie, he doesn't act in another movie, he doesn't do any like extended comedy thing. Like back in the day, he did like a 7-hour, I think, tried to set a record for a comedy round. This guy can barely do 15 minutes, like, unless it's totally written, totally scripted, or every few years or something. It's just not something different. You can totally see I see a product here. I don't see the way he was before, where I saw a genius, an absolute genius with power, with the essence of a genius, the life force of a genius, someone who's trying to be positive, that uses humor to unite instead of divide. And it's just another angle that I see happening right now, and it stinks. I hope other comedians like Brent Pella or Awaken with JP and some other ones out there that need to have their day, because these guys are just, I almost don't even want to continue, because this guy just kind of just turns my stomach. I just don't like what I'm seeing with all this. And the Dave Chappelle we grew up with just does not seem like he would do these things. It seemed like he was very righteous against doing things that he didn't want to do. Like, he wouldn't put on a dress. He fought for that kind of thing. He was just in a few different movies, he tried not to compromise, but he had to. But then he comes back and he almost doesn't have to, unless he's fully compromised and just controlled. And it just has to be what he is. Like, they are pushing censorship so bad, these supposed fake Facebook whistleblowers who immediately come out and then the next day get to meet with Congress, whereas other whistleblowers are shunned, they lose their jobs, they're exiled, they're doxxed, they're all this stuff. But nope, they're pushing censorship so hard, and this guy was the next step. They keep trying to tell the story. They keep putting it out in things like, oh my God, keep him relevant. Keep this thing relevant. It hasn't achieved what it had to yet. Meanwhile, back in the day, it's just he's become what he said he never would become. And he said it on many occasions. It seemed like he'd never sell out like this, and he's selling out. He's like beating up a lesbian woman. Like, who? It just wasn't his humor. His humor used to be pure and so funny and natural and had old school bits in it. It had things from, it was timeless. This guy is a fraud. Look at him. You don't get the same feelings. Watch Screwed, watch Men in Tights, watch any of his old things before 2004, or before he left, before anything before 2012 and 14 when he came back. That stuff is just, compare them and you will see there's so much. You can't fake a master. The old Dave Chappelle was a master, and this is a shame what's going on. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it is him, and he changed terribly. But I've never noticed this type of change in a creative individual of his caliber that has changed for a negative in such a way that they just refuse to use their powers for the good that they know they should. And something's wrong about that. And, either way, it's all good. There are more creatives out there. We can do the Renaissance without Dave and without any of these people. He's pretty much the sign that Hollywood is gone. All these people are gone. If they're put out there, do not trust it. It's stupid. It's useless. It's pathetic. Humor is with your friends, family, and people you love. That's where the funny stuff is. Don't waste your essence, your magic, your love, your adoration, anything, your time on this guy. He's not promoting the right stuff. Only focus on creatives who are, and everybody else, yourself. You are a creative beast. These people will never tell you that. They'll never promote good because they're all compromised. The Renaissance has none of these people in it. And it would have been great to have the old Dave Chappelle in it, right alongside with us, maybe even at the helm. This guy does not belong in the Renaissance. Bless you all out there.